Aha, and we are live on YouTube again. How exciting. Anyone got anything they want to talk about as we get started? Or
wow, this is slow.
what's slow?
Coordinates.
Yes. One of the big things that needs doing is some benchmarking and some speeding ups with all the things. But what are you trying to do? The plot?
No, just panning, which of course is
Yes,
not in...
but that's because doing butt tons of coordinate transformations to do
right.
that. So yeah, it's actually going through the stack.
Just panning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. It's cool.
Yes, it needs work. That's fine. That's partly. That's not also not entirely our code either. That's like that's the SunPy coordinate stack as a whole, and WCSX is all to do with a bit of optimization to make that better.
Yeah, sure. So, wait, Stuart, for the coordinates PR.
Yeah, I don't like where this is going.
No. The names. So the one thing I just tried right now is the same thing that's in the code blocks in the PR.
I have literally just changed that, so I haven't updated the code block in the PR. There is now an underscore after heliographic.
So is that also good? You also changed that through the docs as well?
I have changed it through the docs.
Okay.
I
It's
will
not
actually
on the build.
just. It's not. I haven't changed it on the PR. That is true. I will just do it quick.
Okay, it's now changed in the docs. Okay. Damn you. Okay, that was my only comment.
I'm now just doing a quick grep through the whole code base to make sure I haven't missed anywhere. Oh, there's one. I've missed one. Yeah, there's another one.
Are you serious, Stuart?
What?
Where's the log entry?
Oh yeah.
I think this deserves one. I think it deserves at least like a small one.
Okay. All right. Fine. Allowed. Alex, do you want to show what you've been doing?
Sure thing. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let me start showing screen. I'll share my edition. Right. So, everybody knows, I guess, what my Summer Coded Space project was last year. Is that right or not?
Give us a 10-second update then.
Okay.
Stony silent.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I was for my dissertation at Queen Mary. My project was to try to use extrapolation routines to understand the three-dimensional structure of the magnetic field above active regions of the Sun. So the primary way of doing that at the moment, because obviously the corona itself is too thin and tenuous for you to get a three-dimensional structure. You just get a line of sight integral, and if you're looking obviously directly at the sun, you unfortunately can't see the contrast of the corona versus the solar surface. So the Zeeman effect is normally what you use to analyze that or to detect that, but you can't do it on the corona. So we tend to take the magnetogram of the surface and extrapolate above that using various extrapolation routines, the simplest of which being the potential extrapolator, and more complex ones generally being nonlinear force-free field models. And so my project was essentially to create an extrapolation routine, which in the end I did the potential extrapolator because it was only a dissertation project, and then also trying to evaluate that. So I found the Tycho de equilibrium analytical solution, which is meant to be an analytical model for roughly the sort of magnetic field you'd expect to find around an active region, including the flux tube and obviously the footprints of the flux tube, and then using that to evaluate the field. So what my project for the Google's, the ESA Summer of Code in Space was, is trying to take the code I'd generated for my project and turning that into an API. So one, people have access to the actual code that I created, but two, also people have access to an API which allows them to put in their own extrapolation routines and use the tools that I provide them to potentially evaluate those fields. So among other things, one of the sort of major things I created was I created the 3D object class, which is the 3D map class, map 3D class, which is essentially similar to a normal map in 2D, stores the data as a NumPy array, but obviously it's either 3D or 4D, depending on whether you've got a scalar field or a vector field NumPy array, and it has all of the normal functionality that's associated with a map. You're able to resample, you're able to obviously, so I'm trying to think, trying to think of the word crop, submap, and you're able to evaluate the data within there. So yeah, essentially the whole idea is that now this is an affiliated package that's not part of the main SunPy toolset, but assuming you install my package, you're now able to start doing extrapolation-based analysis, all very simply from using SunPy style input. So if I bring up, right, so the entire map 3D class is reasonably big. Can people actually read this, or do you need larger font?
I can't actually see. I just got a black screen for you. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem.
No, I can actually read it, which is surprising to me.
Yeah, I also
guess it's
can't
just me.
see it, but I also can't see it. I think it might be a browser thing, but I don't know. I can see it on the YouTube stream. If you find the YouTube stream, Dan, you can see it.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I could come out and start again in Firefox if that helps. That might. which shall I do?
And if I can find that
interesting.
YouTube, we can just carry on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one though.
And there I was thinking, just trying to drop my screen resolution down to a suitable resolution would be the hassle.
Okay, I can see it.
Cool.
A crazy infinite loop going on here. Anyway.
Infinite loop, that scares me. Okay. So I don't want to spend too much time going through a lot of nitty-gritty detail because there's not much point. But among other things, where the heck I should have internet. For some reason, my Explorer window closed. Leave this page. Right. So obviously, I've been making rather meticulous documentation over the time. So everything I've created has hopefully got a full set of documentation that relates to it. Map 3D class and similar. One of the big things that Stuart and I have been working on, and it's been kind of a learning exercise, I think, for both of us, is trying to get these galleries working and working in complex ways for my not totally normal usage scenario. But I think we've done reasonably well. So there are tutorials related to pretty much everything you could want, anything from just trying to create a map object all the way up to comparing generated and extrapolated fields. If I sort of demonstrate within the code what you'd need to do in order to do that. So compare extrapolated generated field. So essentially, obviously, you've got your general imports, including if you want to visualize, then I've got a number of visualization functions. The one thing that Stuart and I have been working on is trying to make sure that they are ostensibly they enable you to access the MyOvi interface afterwards. So we use MyOvi for plotting because that's really good for 3D plotting. But what you get back access to all of the objects that were created. So I'll show you in the GUI, but essentially means that you should be able to then modify your imagine you did peak on a SunPy map in the same way that you potentially can access parts within that and create a more advanced plot from it. The peak is just the very start of it, whereas in this case, these are almost the functions I've got are like peak, and then from that you can modify any settings you want to change the headings, change the axes, so on and so forth. So you need to define a region. If you're trying to create an analytical model, you obviously need to define a region in physical parameters. As with SunPy, I've made my maps unit, AstroPy unit compliant. There has been a slight issue with the fact that obviously on a map, you've got angular units, whereas on a 3D volume, you obviously can't use the angular units, at least not on the Z-axis. That would just be irrational. It wouldn't make sense. So there's a certain amount of translation that may be necessary for some people if they want to start converting between the two. But essentially, you just set up a, for instance, analytical model, which in this case is the total molecular equilibrium. The code for that is already in there. You then want to generate the 3D map based on that. So this creates a 3D map object. Please note that I intend to sort of neaten up the naming conventions with my objects. I've been a little bit lax when creating the examples, just because I'm still trying to get used to trying to create more professional looking code. In this case, I've modified some of the metadata just to make sure that the plot has a title, but that's actually essential. And then from that, you can also generate what would be the equivalent magnetogram from that analytical solution. So this is the smart function that will generate your extrapolated field. So you're, in this case, an analytical field, a field from a mathematical solution. And then from that, we extract what would be the line of sight magnetogram. And then this is all you need in order to plot. So this is the equivalent to if you wanted to do a peak on a map. All you need to do is create a streamlines object using the streamline plot and throw it that 3D map which is generated, or any 3D map that you've created. Slightly more complex if you want to add the boundary data. So of course you're now adding a 2D plot to your 3D plot so that you can see where what original data generated that. Then there's a boundary plot function, and then similar again as an additional specific to this analytical model, you can add the TDE guidelines, and those just give you some visual cues, which I'll show in a second. So essentially, to visualize just the magnetic field, all you'd need is one single part. From this, again, you get all of your outputs which enable you to modify it. Exactly the same, if you want to do an extrapolation, all you need to do is create a potential extrapolator. Again, it needs to understand the X range, Y range, and Z range of the volume that you need to extrapolate. And in fact, in this case, the Z shape value. So obviously how many increments for your grid you want to give it. It uses cuboid grids as a general rule. In theory, that should work if you had a polar coordinate system. I haven't tried that though. But the main point is to say that it doesn't have to be cubic; it can be cuboid. So the pixels, the pixels of your input data do not have to match, don't have to be square, and equally the volume don't have to be cube. And again, then to run the extrapolation routine, you just simply use the extrapolate function, which is much similar to the generate function for the analytical model solution. Again, that will generate a 3D map, which is just a field, in this case a vector field for both of them. Again, I've just changed the title to make it look a bit neater. And again, just to plot it, all you need to do is use the streamlines function and throw it that map object. But to add the boundary data, again, you use the boundary plot. And again, I might as well add the guides just so you can see where it roughly matches. And obviously, I've just created another figure. So if I run this, fingers crossed, it will take a couple of seconds whilst it actually runs the model, and it's generated over in my other window. So this is the kind of plot that you can get. So it needs to refresh there. So this is just a streamline. The map seed object is just a normal part of the MyAvi interface. You can modify that if you want. That's actually a widget which gives you a 10 by 10 grid. You can modify settings on that. And it was saying that the whole point is it's meant to match the MyAvi interfacing. So hopefully, yeah, this looks reasonably neat. You can start to see the structure of the MyAvi scene. So vector field, boundary data, and then these are all just guidelines. So I could actually delete these to make it maybe slightly easier to view. So that was the flux tube which I got rid of, which relates to this current flowing, and so you can actually see the footprints of the flux tube in this boundary data. There's no reason why the boundary data has to be limited to this cube. You could create the boundary data to a wider axis, and equally, obviously, you can change the region of which you're interested in simply by changing the parameters you put within the model, or by resampling afterwards, or say submapping afterwards. And the whole idea is, again, these are just cues for the titled model. The whole idea is it should make it very easy to, among other things, visualize the magnetic fields. Again, this is just a widget. So within here, I've got a streamlines widget, which I could change from I could change to ribbons if I wanted, or tubes, all of that sort of stuff. This is all part of the MyAvi interface. So the logic is that essentially from either within Python or using the GUI for MyAvi, you can change the parameters of your diagrams, and it's essentially my tools just let you get easy access to that. As long as you're using a 3D map object, it makes it very simple to plot these things. And equally, the boundary map, it's worth me saying the boundary map is a completely valid map object, so I can plot the boundary map. So this is the analytical solution for that field. Remembering that the potential field extrapolator is a very, very rough and dirty way to get a magnetic field. So this is what that field should be. And again, you can see the boundary data plotted there. You can see all of the guidelines. I didn't have to add the guidelines, and again, I can remove them if I so choose, just to get at the field and nothing else. There. So I can delete, and delete. So that is sort of the bare essentials of what you can do. It might be worth me showing you the other plotting. So when it comes to plotting, there's two primary methods to plot. That's like creating a plotting 3D map object. So the quiver plot is another reasonably nice way to 3D. In theory, that should, yeah, and then I've got to do also hopefully. Right, so obviously the resolution of that particular map is quite high, so getting it in a quiver plot is slightly difficult. However, we can obviously do dot sub map. Let's grab it from within file. Plotting 3D map with boundary. Sort of one of the problems is I have so many examples now, it's getting a wee bit out of hand. Sure, I had a submap in it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was only on. Plot, create 3D map object. Okay, maybe it was. So, and just do this. So it does show it. And so now we simply resampled it to make it a slightly more reasonable field. Obviously, there's a lot of testing when it comes to the actual models and making sure that's correct. I have actually noticed that on one particular analytical model that I've somehow messed up on the X and Y axis. So I think it's only on the boundary data, but I need to look into that. So that's something for me to look at. Again, I've got to, one of the things I sort of want to spend some time doing is refactoring my code so that it actually looks right. Am I actually, oh, don't tell me that I've disconnected after all of this. Are people actually, yeah, I was saying, Stuart's moving.
Oh.
Fine, sorry, just I know this thing has been a bit temperamental for us. So Stuart's moving, but everybody else is either stationary. Oh, no, I got movement now. So yeah, the main thing is I've tried to make a number of tools which enable you to visualize and compare. So in fact, there's a comparing class for comparing both scalar and vector fields. That is still in development, so at the moment it's quite limited. But hopefully it becomes a useful tool. I'm hoping that I've got a few people who I've spoken to who might actually be interested in using it, PhD students, so not necessarily like the ultimate professors in their field, but at least it's something. I don't know whether there's any more information people would like specifically to know, or areas they'd like me to show them. But yes, and again, there's a lot of examples going through all of the nitty gritty on how to do stuff. For instance, how to just do an extrapolation of a natural HMI. And in fact, it's worth me saying that again, I did mention it, but worth me demonstrating that you can actually compare extrapolating generated fields. So in theory, the 2D map should, unless I've made an error. Has it thrown it somewhere else? Of course it has. I can never remember how to get Spider to display stuff in an external window when necessary. I know there's a... Oh! Okay, that should be plotting. I just don't know how to get it. Stuart, can you remember the code for getting it to plot to a window? Because I assume it's Spider causing me issues here. Stuart's now. Oh no, he's not stationary. I keep on throwing it into random locations because it's not.
If you
really
do %matplotlib, in a fresh terminal, it should work.
Ah, right. Okay. Don't remember what lib.
I think.
Oops. We are. That's it. So, for example, that was the vector magnetogram, line sight magnetogram generated by the analytical model. It is simply a fully valid map that can be analyzed with any normal SunPy tool. Yeah, so that's sort of what I wanted to show, and obviously, again, it's all on GitHub. The documentation there's a lot of it there. Obviously, it's still work in progress as with everything. I feel that at least it stands on its own now as a functional tool, rather than a few months ago where it was still kind of very sketchy on a lot of areas. Stuart, can you think of anything worth me demonstrating from that point onwards?
No, don't think so.
Okay, cool.
By the way, that was amazing. That's really cool.
Cheers.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, sorry, I'm lurking in Albert's office.
I can't even turn my camera enough. There is.
Hello. I'm just a hand.
Talk to the hand.
So, is there any plans to move the 3D map cube or whatever 3D map into SunPy?
It's not the same as like a map cube because it's 3 spatial dimensions, which only ever really happens in simulated data.
Unfortunately.
Well, sure, yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe we want to capture that in the name. Call it, Sim 3D map, or I don't know. Well, I mean, regardless, I guess my question still stands: whether there are any plans to move that into base SunPy.
Probably not. I wouldn't think, unless there was reason to.
So you were saying that if anybody wants to use SunPy for simulation data, they should develop their own 3D map object.
Well, that 3D map object is pretty specialized for what it's doing. Of course, if you're really just dealing with simulation data, you should probably just use YT. But I mean, I don't know. Something we can think about, I suppose. What do you reckon, Alex?
Well, to be fair, I don't think it's fair to say that it's pretty specific now. If you remember, at the time I started creating it, it was specifically for magnetic fields, but it supports scalar and vector fields. The functionality, I've tried to sort of mirror what functions you have with normal maps, obviously accepting the fact that it's not quite a normal map. For instance, the data is stored in metadata files, metadata. The parameters are reasonably similar: X range, Y range, Z range, rather than just X and Y range. Obviously, there is that annoying issue between when you're talking about 2D observational data, which is again measured in a rather complex coordinate system, versus a 3D data set, which is pretty much always physical units. From my perspective, I've tried to make it as universal and similar to the map as I can, so that it could be used for anything. Whether there is use for it elsewhere is something that I don't know. And so that's, I think it's worth saying that it could be put into the proper SunPy if we find that there's a value to that. If not, and it is only ever going to be used for this particular purpose of extrapolation maps, then no, don't keep it out. But again, that is something that we can easily reassess whenever the need comes up. If somebody says, "Oh, we could do with this functionality."
Maybe how about we hold it as an issue, and could somebody create an issue that says, create some object in SunPy that's appropriate for 3D simulations, and then we can have some discussions about what we need and what we want there, and you can refer to the object that you've developed in your branch. Just just so people know that it exists, that we're thinking about it, since we're not apparently going to move forward with putting it in right now.
That sounds
Does
good.
that sound reasonable? Yeah.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, because we don't want somebody to not know about this and then start developing their own stuff, ignore yours, and then now we've got two different things.
Yeah. And that's where I feel that it would be nice if the investment gets used, whether it's just for extrapolation or elsewhere. That's sort of, I'm hoping at some point to start. Obviously, it's available on GitHub, but at some point it'd be nice to actually make a big thing of, oh look, this is some new tools. So maybe after a couple of months of development, when it is a little bit more pretty. I mean, again, I think really now the main thing I've got to do is try to get a little bit more strict on the way I name things, functions and objects.
We've got to try and get the documentation build working as well.
Yes, lots and lots of bugs in the documentation.
So many warnings. Just so many warnings.
Could I just say that's all Stuart's fault, just for the sake of it?
Yeah.
I think it'd be more appropriate to blame Sphinx, because everybody hates Sphinx.
Okay, that's fine. I'll blame Sphinx then. But then
Guys, the coordinates PR build past.
woohoo!
Sorry, late breaking news.
Right? Speaking of PRs, what happened to my concatenate PR for the light curve?
I have no idea.
It is 1714.
It's there.
But
The build is failing.
failing.
If you merge or rebase onto master, it will probably pass.
Thought I did that already.
You might have to do it again. Who knows? On the topic of light curve, something popped into my mind the other day. I don't know if this is the same as what Alex was about to say, which is that it's not really a light curve anymore. It's more generic than things that you would necessarily consider light curve.
Okay.
It now has like sunspot prediction number and particle flux.
Well, those are
Time series.
Oh, you're saying because it's not light?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I totally agree. We should have been more. We should have called it something different.
I mean, I am all game for refactoring light curve and renaming it at the same time.
Okay. Yeah,
because
I
I love breaking API. Like it's a hobby of mine, and
yeah. Hey, we're not. Astro, we are not 1.0. We can do whatever the hell we want.
I mean, we can keep the light curve. We could keep light curve for a bit, or we could just burn it down and see what happens. But anyway.
Yeah.
Was that what you were going to say, Alex, or was that something else? Probably something else.
No, something completely different.
I thought so.
Like I would come up with that kind of thing off the top of my head. Yeah, I haven't used light curve that much at all, other than playing around. No, it was worth me also mentioning. So Stuart and I had the conversation about a week ago now about I could apply for the Easter Summer of Code in Space again. It is worth saying that I've got a PhD lined up in Hull, studying the possibilities or probabilities of super flares on the sun. Whoop. But until then, I've got a whole summer of not a whole hell of a lot to do. And so it might be worth me applying for the Easter Summer of Code. The two options of projects that make some sense are, one is spending more time on this project I'm doing, but to be honest, I'm sort of feeling that I'm already spending time on it as a hobby, and I sort of feel that there's not a lot that ESA would sort of be getting for their money if they paid to do it. But equally, finding something else useful to do, and Stuart was suggesting potentially refactoring the light curve as a possibility. So I don't know what jobs other people think are important and are unlikely to be filled in by Google Summer of Code students. But that's sort of worth me throwing out there. We've got obviously the best part of a month before I've got to hand in the application.
I would say that sounds great. You should definitely apply. Stuart, do we know any updates on if we'll get any students?
Well, open. I'm being very careful what I say while on the live stream. Open Astronomy got way more slots than we were expecting. We got 9 slots.
That's good.
I will catch you up when we're not live on YouTube.
Okay.
Because otherwise Google get very angry. Very, very angry. But yeah, Alex, I mean, you should definitely apply, and you should probably wait and see what projects get accepted through Google Summer of Code first, and then have a look at which ones are still around, or come up with another one.
Cool. Okay.
Because Light Curve might be available, or it might not. As the same with the Now Module project and a few other things you might enjoy doing as well. But I have to see later.
Cool.
Yeah. Someone make my week and merge 1210 already.
You have the approvals.
Press it. I'm not pressing it. Someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it.
You gonna do it, Albert? I'll do it.
It's still loading. It's just such a big deal.
Oh my god! It's finished. It's not, but it's merged.
The first step,
gosh!
not quite usable, but it works.
It's usable. The WCS axis stuff maybe less so, but like the actual pull request stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It happened.
It hasn't even been a year and a half yet.
You have to remember this PR is a replacement for a previous PR
Right,
that has been open even longer.
You're right.
Yeah. What's the state of the AstroPy slowness on the WCS?
Yeah, that's something that needs looking into, and it's a bigger problem than just us. That's a general AstroPy problem. I think we have a particularly extreme case of it because our transform stack is a little bit complicated for doing that. But I mean, it's on the list, obviously. But.
Okay. Yeah, because when I actually tested out this code and tried to move things around, it was almost unusable.
Yeah, it works. It doesn't work so well for the interactive stuff.
Yeah,
doesn't like it.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 things, Stuart. Can you click go on that blog entry on the?
I did.
PyAsk? Oh, great. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I would. If you want to add more, I would say go ahead and.
Yeah, I'll add more also at some point. I can always update it or add another post or something. I've been meaning to get around to it, but I haven't. So.
The other thing. Oh shit. Oh, the board meeting. So you can't make it. So I had asked you about that when I first set that date, and you said you might be able to make it, even though you're on vacation. But now
I can if necessary, probably, assuming there's a decent internet connection, which I think there is.
Okay. So are you saying we should just go ahead and...
Yeah, go ahead and find the best date that week, and I'll either come or I won't.
Okay. So one thing we are depending on you for is some of the number focus stuff.
Yeah, I better do that.
Could anybody else do that if you're not available, or could you send out an email?
Well, yeah, if I get some, if I get the, yeah, I will send the email and then I'll forward it all to the board mailing list, and we can make some decisions and then distribute the info wider.
Okay. The other thing that I was going to have part of this discussion is about the logo. So I've made some updates to the logo to use.
Yeah, I did a couple as well, so we can discuss.
Okay. Yeah, I want us to decide on logo very quickly because I'll go ahead and order some stickers for SPD.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, from Sticker Mule, which is the same sticker company that SunPy uses, and apparently all the use them. So once we decide on something, I will order a bunch of stickers, and we'll have at least like 100 of them for SPD and out.
Cool, that would be cool. Yeah, we should definitely do that. I should be able to make it to the board meeting, so. Okay. I'll try. If that's easiest, it's not the end of the world.
Okay. And Alex, are you going to be at SPD or not?
Me?
No, Alex. I know you're going to be there.
I doubt it. Well, I hope I'm going to be there. It's a conference in Boulder, Alex.
Oh, right, okay. When is it?
First week of June.
Oh, right, okay, so that's before my PhD, so yeah, I could probably say no. I can't imagine being there, sadly.
Okay. Well, so I'm starting to think about what kind of tutorials we want to present, and we'll definitely, I want us to do this to sort of like overwhelm people a little bit. So we'll definitely do kind of introduction to SunPy and Python, but I also thought it'd be worthwhile to go a little bit further and show some of the neat, cool stuff. And Alex, the stuff you just showed would be amazing to show people. To show, like, look, you can really do some really serious stuff here, and it's not that hard. So we'll have to discuss, how we do that. Maybe we can have you, like, do it, over the air, or some, over the internet, or maybe we can have somebody cover for you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if somebody needs to cover, then feel free to obviously ask any questions. I've tried to make the galleries, loads of them, as you could see. So almost they're overwhelmed with possibilities on what they can play with. And questions are always.
We should put SPD on the board meeting agenda because Kevin will probably be there. And I know he's one of the people organising it, I think, or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he's at Boulder, so yeah, we should do that. Or unless we get him to one of these and we have one of these designed specifically for the purpose.
No, that's a really good point. And I also thought, Alex, this would be really good. That'll be a really good opportunity for your project to get a lot more visibility.
I'm definitely up for that.
We're gonna.
It's a big thing because otherwise I've wasted a load of time just generating some lovely code that nobody touches.
Yes. On that, Alex, we should try and get. If we're going to do that, we should try and tidy up. Well, docs first. Tidy up the code a bit.
What are you saying about my code?
And then we'll actually do a release, get it in the SunPy Conda channel, and make it nice and easy to install and everything.
Brilliant. I'm up for that.
And on other news, now that we have merged the coordinates package and the Python 3 support, who can guess where this is going?
Python 4.
Yes, Python 4. We should. My opinion is that we should release 0.7 before SPD, irrespective of what happens with Fido.
I am a little hesitant on that because last time we tried to do that, I feel like we pushed out something that was not that stable.
My point is that, well, put it this way, I can't see Fido getting merged in the next month.
Yeah.
certainly the trend over the last few months has definitely shown that seems to be the case. I can't see it happening. In fact, SPD might be a good time to actually all of us sit down and hack on that for a while. But we have coordinates in now. We have Python 3 support in now. I've been using Python 3 to dev for the last few weeks since it got merged. We're not rushing that.
Okay.
We've still got like a good few weeks with all of that stuff in mainline, and we can try and get people to test it out, and people could be using it for a while.
Okay. As long
I don't
as we
think
that it's stable.
Yeah, sure. I don't think we should be squeezing out. I don't think we should hold 0.7 for Fido any longer.
Yeah. So
I think there's enough.
Oh, no. It's 0.11.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
What's that?
No, never mind. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. As long as
I'm talking about doing 0.7 mid-May, so that we've got like maybe, I don't know, maybe more early May, beginning of the second week in May, end of second week in May, something like that. So that we've got that gives us 3 or 4 weeks to bed it in master, and then a couple of weeks to bed it in as a release before SPD.
Yeah, that sounds kind of reasonable. Let's proceed as such, yes, and see how it goes.
Okay. Is there anything else milestone 0.7 apart from Fido?
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could present. Well, send out an email that lists all the things that would be in 0.7. That's thing would just be
0.7 past due by 3 months. Oh dear.
It's not too bad.
Lyra light curve. Oh, that needs fixing. Dan
One
left.
thing. So just before, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, I need to bail as well.
But one thing I want to bring up, which I heard from Juan. Juan is apparently still poking around at, I guess, 0.5, before we put in units. And
right.
He just recently updated. He's like, "What is going on here? Nothing is working."
It's true. 0.6 did break all the things.
That's right.
All the things.
He was really unclear what to do. So he emailed me only, in secret. I think it was maybe, he didn't want to bother everybody. But if Juan didn't realize this, and he's on the board and actually voted on this particular issue, then we may want to, I don't know, maybe look at our docs a little bit more closely and make sure that we mention this everywhere, and certainly spend some time educating people at SPD. That's a good time to do that.
So, AstroPy do have a much more fancy changelog setup than we do, which gets nicely compiled into their documentation and stuff. So that might be something that someone could look at. Hashtag not me.
Hashtag not me. Yeah, but I don't know that changelogs are really what will solve
No,
it.
I mean like the AstroPy changelog in their docs is like human readable and nice and like.
Okay,
Where it's
well,
gone.
that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. But
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely not disagreeing.
yeah, because if we get good people trying out SunPy at the meeting, and that's a huge barrier to entry if you don't know what's going on. Matt, I guess we have lots of other people that are like using really old versions of SunPy. See if everybody picks up, but it's not what we could with something.
Oh, I'm surprised because
I thought we had units in there too. Yeah, but it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't required.
I thought 0.6 was where we hit units all over the place.
Yeah,
Units up and down the square.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we can find out because we have a changelog thing. Yep, there we are. 0.6, enforce the use of AstroPy quantities throughout most of SunPy. Drop support for Python 2.6.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for me.
Just a random comment, but in the vein of user feedback, I guess. We already know this is a problem. I forgot it was a problem, and thought mine was a problem, but Hazel tried to use SunPy to grab a stretch of those data, and of course, it only does one day.
Yeah, that's a.
And so she did.
Well,
so she did a Google search, and of course, she saw it's a standing prompt for years. That it doesn't exactly put the best face forward in terms of SunPy being supported.
Well, did you tell her what the solution is? Just grab multiple single days.
Yeah.
But then she has no way to put them together.
Steve, if you merge your concatenate light curve function in the next little while, we could potentially do some horrific hack for that. There's a hack for that.
That would, merging in some of the FIDO stuff.
Well, no, I just mean if we merge your concatenate function, we could graft on multi-day download into the current light curve system, but or at least if you have your concatenate function, you can do goes day 1 plus goes day 2 plus goes day 3.
Yep.
So we should get that merged. That would be a good start.
That'd be very useful because I might actually want to use goes data for my thesis.
Well, there is much that needs to be changed before to light curve. It is not nice.
You have to do a for loop. You concatenate it. You can't
for loop is Python.
No, I was saying, wasn't I, Steve, that you could potentially make concatenate take a list of, or take, if you made concatenate take star args, I'll add it to the pull request.
You want me to do more work?
Oh no.
I mean, right now it's concatenate. It's like light curve dot concatenate. Give it another light curve, and then add it. You wanted to give it a list of. Okay.
Well, just make it so that it's star args, and then each you can give it any number of light curve arguments, and it will concatenate them all together.
Okay, add a comment to my pull request, and Albert.
I have.
And
I have. Anyway, let's kill this off. Anyone got anything else to say before I pull the plug on YouTube?
Nope. Bye.
No, don't go away.
Damn it.